Hey there, everybody. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Homesteading is about doing a lot of things ourselves, even things we're not comfortable with. And sometimes you just got to figure it out. Well, I've got a problem with the well. As you see, it's leaking right there. Can't tell if there's a crack there, if that's the gasket, but it's leaking right there where the seal is. This is a deep well pump, vertical, so it's getting pretty bad. You can see it's kind of making a big mess down here, so we're going to fix that. And I couldn't find hardly any videos to help me not mess this up, so we're going to be working through this, figuring out as we go, taking our time, and get it fixed. You see that right there?
We're gonna have a day off this afternoon, Daddy. We're gonna have a day off too.
Okay, we're getting started on this well. First thing we're going to need to do is, you see, we still have pressure. Still have pressure on the well. We're going to shut the well off. We're going to bleed down the tank. We're going to disconnect the wiring from the pressure switch. Okay, we need to do all that. You need to make sure you do it safely. If you're not comfortable with electricity, if you're not comfortable with doing this, and the process is, call a service man. Okay, if you're not a handy person, call a service man, because if you do something wrong, you're going to cost yourself a lot more money for that service man having to come out and figure out what you did and undo it and fix that, than if you'd have just called him in the first place. Okay? I deal with pumps at work. I'm kind of handy with tools. I know enough about electricity not to get myself hurt. So I'm not an electrician, I'm not a well man, but I'm posting this so that we can maybe work together and learn some things. Okay, we're going to start this. We're going to take the cover off of the pressure switch. And then we're going to unwire that, get that out of the way. Then we're going to look at our piping and see what we need to do there. We need to disconnect the piping. And I honestly cannot remember if I put a union in this pipe or not. I really hope that I did. I can't believe that this is going to be so cantankerous to get off of here. If it wasn't filming, it would probably just come right off. Okay, now you see the wiring. I've already turned the breaker off. I've already tested it. So we'll take that off real quick. The way I tested it is that I have another connection that has run through this. And just for safety, we're going to take and put wire nuts on the hot wires. I'm going to fold this up out of the way. We're going to cut this insulation away. We need to cut this insulation away. Normally I would just find a seam, but I'm in a bit of a hurry today. I don't have a lot of time to be messing around. So, I remember now. See, I'll still be able to use that. Just put it back on, tape it back up. I remember now during the freeze last year, these pipes busted. So I replaced it with 1-inch PEX, which is going to work in my favor because that means I can just unscrew that and it's going to come off. You have some flexibility with that. Now what I'm trying to do is kind of equalize the pressure so I don't break the pipe. See how loose that is? Because that's the last thing we want to do is break something. It's not already broken. That is on there, so we're going to do this a little differently. Do this just a little bit differently. Okay, since I was unable to get that loose and I really don't want to muscle that into submission, I have more of these clamps. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this clamp off. I'm going to cut this clamp. I'm going to put some more on. I have another one. And that way we can not mess up too bad. This is going to be a little difficult because I have a shoulder that's been giving me some problems. But we're going to work through it. Because that's what we do. We figure out how to work through it. Typically you take these, put them on 90 degrees from the other way, and it'll cut it off. And I'm sure if I had my shoulder strength, but because these are 1-inch clamps, these are a little stronger than than your normal 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch clamp. You know what? It's not going to stop us. We're going to get this done. We are going to get this done. Just a matter of figuring out how. Here we go. You've learned this lesson as well. It's not going to go the way you want 99% of the time. Everything works perfect on the chalkboard, but we got it off. Because here on R7 Farms, nothing goes like it's supposed to. Okay, now we've got the well separated from everything else. So we're going to take these bolts loose, hopefully. Prayerfully. And do all things unto the Lord. Put a little WD-40 in these other threads. Start working on that. Now I could just take this loose and pull it off, but I'm going to go ahead and change both the gaskets if I can. There's 2 bolts. See, the way a jet pump works, a single pipe jet pump, this vertical style, it actually pumps water down this outer casing. There's a pipe inside of here that goes down, and then there's a jet in there, and it pushes the water back up. That's why it's so important we have these gaskets, and we don't need to be wasting water and just dumping it on the ground. I mean, that wastes water, wastes electricity, and you will eventually encounter a catastrophic failure. So you're better off, and I guarantee you, it will be on the worst possible time. So You try to get a well man to come out on Thanksgiving or Christmas, or when you're getting ready for your son's birthday or whatever, and you may eventually find one that's going to come out. But trust me, they make a living at this. They don't interrupt their Thanksgiving dinner with their family for free. And I don't blame them. And it's not about being mean or getting revenge or anything like that. You wouldn't go to your job on Thanksgiving and not get paid a little bit extra. That's why we have holiday pay and things like that. So, guys, let's see what's going to happen here. In theory, heavy on the theory, this should separate. It looks like what we're going to do is take this bottom one loose and end up taking it all off at one time. Now those 2 bolts I just took off were 3/4 inch. These other 3 are 9/16 heads. Okay, we're encountering our inevitable stumbling block. The bolts are seized up, and I just rounded off the head of one. So, I kind of knew that was going to happen. Okay. Well, we got it loose. What happens is pipe comes in here and it threads into this piece, the well pipe, and if I end up having to do this, if I can't save this piece, I'm going to end up having to buy another one at $130.
And I don't know if I can get one locally or if I'll have to wait. But definitely the bolts are going to have to be replaced, but that's minor. That's easy. So we'll see. I hate to have to come in here with a grinder and cut these things off. I think I'm going to have to cut these heads off. And then work on getting those out. But we're going to try a pipe wrench first and see how that works out. Okay, managed to get one bolt out using a method where you take and you heat it up. Use propane or MAP. Do not use acetylene because this is cast iron. But unless you just are really confident in your abilities, you heat it up around here. Heat that up real good on the threaded part, which would be this part here because I got everything upside down. And heat that up real good. Remove the flame. Listen to me. Remove the flame before you shoot WD-40 on the hot metal. If you shoot the WD-40 on the hot metal, and I'm not talking about getting it red hot, don't do that. When you get it hot, shoot the WD-40 and it'll suck it into the threads and kind of helps out. If you do it with the flame, you're going to end up with a really big problem if you don't remove that flame first. Make sure you remove the flame. That helps sometimes. This one here, I have not had any success with as of yet. I kept working with it and turning this thing around, trying to get to this or that and reposition. Ended up unscrewing from the well pipe, which was okay because it was going to happen anyway. So I just went ahead and unscrewed it from the well pipe, the internal pipe that I told you all about. It's a 1-inch pipe. It unscrewed from that. I went ahead and unscrewed it, brought it in here in the shop, in my messy shop, and I'm gonna work on it in the vise. So we're gonna keep working with it. Worst case scenario is we end up having to cut these heads off, go in here and either keep working trying to get it out or drill it out and put a bolt and a nut on there, or take it to a machine shop. But more than likely, worst case scenarios, I would cut this off, cut the bolt off, drill the bolt out, and then put a bolt and a nut and some lock washers on there. So we'll keep working on it and we'll update you. Okay, well, I got it loose. Spraying the WD-40 in there worked marvelously. I would heat up the propane torch just right in this area right here, not getting up into here, trying not to get into too much of other places because there was a rubber gasket in there. Heat this up, heat it up for a minute, 2 minutes, so you can see it's getting good and hot without turning red. And then I take the WD-40, I sprayed it up in the hole, and I sprayed it in the gap, and it would steam, which is why I was using the straw, so I could keep a little distance. Don't want to get burned. And let it set for a second. Take the pipe wrench, put it on the bolt, and turn it. Now, obviously, these bolts are all marred up. They're not going back in there. Gonna get some new ones. This, do not touch it. It's hot. You just had propane heat on it, okay? It's hot. Don't touch it. Many of us would do that anyway. We would touch it because we don't think about it, and we go, oh yeah, that was hot. Just like this O-ring right here is hot. Yeah, that's hot. And this was the cause of our problem. And I'm guessing it's leaking somewhere in here. Yeah, right there, coming apart. So it was leaking, and that's what caused our whole thing. Our new parts, you can see what that looks like. Come out in the sunlight here. You can see what that looks like. You can see what the new one looks like. A little difference there. Preferably they're the same part, but I think just over 22 years of being mashed in there, that's what you get. So we're gonna go get some bolts because I don't want to dig around and used bolts. I want to find some new bolts and run down the hardware store, which out here in the beautiful country, there's no such thing as run down to the hardware store. We have a local hardware store. It's a great place, family owned, been there forever. And it's about 20 minutes, but it's a great place to go. So hey, you know what? I'll see y'all.